It's November 27th, 2017. We've got a lot of stories here today, but before we do that, Tone, you want to say hi?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Good to be on here with Jimmy before he comes down to New York.
Yeah. So, first story for you today. This is the new book by Andreas Antonopoulos that will be released in a few days. This is The Internet of Money, Volume 2. I'm a big fan of his, and obviously he's written a ton of stuff. But yeah, this is a good Christmas gift for a lot of your friends that might be curious about Bitcoin but don't really understand. I always point them to Antonopoulos videos, but this if they're readers or something like that, this might be a very good gift. Any thoughts on this book?
Well, actually, your own picture is kind of blocking
Oh,
some of
yeah,
the
yeah.
description and stuff.
Yeah.
If you can just slide that over to the
Yeah, there you go.
Quick question: why are there two covers, a purple and an orange one?
Oh, so he published volume 1 already. This is volume 2.
Oh, that's the volume one. This is volume 2. I see. I see the difference. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, I don't have time to read books. Wasn't he writing an Ethereum book? What happened to that?
I think he's still writing it, actually. I think it might be this one. Yeah, Mastering Ethereum.
Yeah.
Building smart contracts.
I keep hoping he would wait long enough so that, the mother of all ironies would be if Ethereum implodes right after he publishes it.
Oh, yeah.
Which has always been my suspicion. I keep waiting for that. I'm like, come on, Andreas, publish the Ethereum book because it will be like the perfect, it'll be like perfect timing.
It does feel like ICOs have slowed down significantly, and hard forks have sort of stolen their thunder to a large degree. So we'll see how well all these Ethereum things do going forward. All right.
I know there's so many books now. I have the few original ones on my shelf with the signatures from the authors. But it's impossible to keep all of them. When you write your book, Jimmy?
Pretty soon. We'll see we'll see what happens. I actually had to talk to Andreas for that particular reason. We'll see how that goes. I won't announce anything yet. Yes, that you're gonna have to wait for some announcement or video or something. All right.
No, it's good. It's good. We like Andreas. We
love Andreas.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
All right, let me move mine and your video thing over so we can all see this really cool thing. This is a blockchain 3D Explorer, and here's a little bit of a sample of what you can do with it. It's you can take a look at each sort of thing. You can look at the block. You can expand the block there. And you can look at the transactions. And this is just a video, but you can use VR and sort of explore everything from a 3D perspective, and see where the money's going and all that stuff. You can do sort of blockchain analysis in 3D and VR and things like that. Please take a look. Tone, any thoughts on this new 3D Explorer for blockchain visualization?
Not really. I mean, I don't only because I'm thinking this is totally useless to me. And two things come to mind. One, how useful is this for governments in tracking us?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't think they've. I'm sure you could, for example, visualize the Tether hacker's connection to the Bitstamp hack or something like that, and connect the two by looking at the actual transactions. But it's just kind of a new cool tool, something to think about.
I don't know, like VR in general is failing me, right? I'm not into VR at all, but that's because they haven't created anything that piques my interest, right? Give me some kind of like a martial arts thing in VR, right? Something.
You want to learn kung fu from the Matrix or something,
exactly. Right? Or it's something interesting, some adult stuff,
I'm pretty sure that already exists, though.
Right. Well, that's not the anyway. So I don't know, we have all this VR at these conferences, and most of them are stuff like this or medical stuff. I'm like, I don't care. There was one really cool one down in Miami where you like actually like in space, like shooting other spaceships and stuff with guns.
Games, yeah.
Right. Like the game stuff is like way more fun. Like, oh man, I don't know. Maybe this floats your boat, Jimmy, but definitely not mine.
Well, the thing about visualization that I really appreciate is that when you do it right, it's very easy to consume a lot of information very quickly, which is why I like certain types of charts and graphs and things like that. I'm hoping eventually that VR can do the same for, you know, more complicated graphs, because oftentimes it's very hard to distill a lot of information into a little bit of stuff. All right, so one thing I wanted to point out is, this is the crypto market cap stuff. Like, just everything, not just Bitcoin, everything is going up like crazy. And if you look at Bitcoin in particular, you can see that the Korean exchanges are over 10,000. And this is Bitsum and CoinOne and Corbit and CoinNest. You can always tell which ones are the Korean ones because they're always the ones that have the highest premium. Your thoughts on why like Korean exchanges are doing so much more? It's like a $400 premium.
That is just hyped. It's just hyped, and it's also liquidity issues. I mean, we get this every now and then, right? Some countries' exchanges go crazy. I mean, we don't know what's going on in Korea. Maybe it was mentioned on television. Maybe they had some events. So it's completely random. Also, I mean, I've been to Korea a couple of years ago, and I mean, I kind of knew it, but Koreans, they're very materialistic. And very materialistic.
No offense taken.
No,
none taken.
Sorry, Jimmy. And I don't think audience knew, but now they do. But they're pretty materialistic, right? And so yeah, like a lot of the girls have like plastic surgery done, and it's like it feels like they'd rather overpay to show off in some things, right? So I'm not surprised that it's coming out of Korea, because it's definitely not out of necessity. Like we have like Venezuela and Zimbabwe and Brazil where it's also over $10,000, but those things are more out of necessity. But in Korea, it's like, I don't think they even care.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem to me like there's some serious FOMO going on over there.
I guarantee you it ain't going to be overpriced in Israel. I can tell you that.
All right. So we have the big story here.
Let's stop offending religions and cultures.
All right. So here is Bitcoin Erolog's interview with Roger Ver. I didn't catch the whole thing yet. I actually had to sleep a little bit. But yeah, I just wanted to play sort of the ending clip, because they're arguing about whether Bitcoin Erolog should be calling Bitcoin Cash Bcash or not. And
Bitcoin Cash is. And so there's only two people that call it Bcash. It's people that are trying to engage in that social manipulation, or it's people that have been manipulated and brainwashed by that social manipulation. And I don't think you're one of the people that's been socially brainwashed. I think you're one of the ones trying to do that brainwashing. And so I don't appreciate it. I'm not going to stand for it. Life is busy. Life is short. I don't need to be
I'm going to mirror rebuttal the same comment. I think that there are only three people that want to call Bitcoin Cash. You and Jahan and your sock puppets. Okay? Because there's nobody else.
I've never hired a single sock puppet. I don't need to be insulted. But please post this so the entire world can see how incredibly rude you are to me.
Hey, I'm sorry, man. All right, guys, it's over. For those of you that bet that Roger would rage quit, congratulations. Thanks for watching. Adios.
All right. I apologize to anyone who's like, didn't want to see Roger stick his middle finger up at John. But he did rage quit after like arguing about Bitcoin Cash and Bcash. And he questioned Bitcoin Erolog's Exotica stuff and saying, I'm a really good businessman, all that stuff. Your thoughts on what happened there? Like,
I actually didn't know Roger held up the middle finger, because I did listen to this interview. Like somebody gave me a heads up this morning, and I was just doing a bunch of manual stuff on my computer, so I was able to like listen to it in the background. And I stopped listening to anything Roger Ver a while back. This was a major exception, only because like I'm very familiar with John's Bitcoin Erolog's work, and I know he can push buttons because and I know this, right? Because like me and John are like in 95% agreement on pretty much almost everything in Bitcoin. Yet every time we talk, we get into this furious argument. So I know he can push buttons. So I knew this was going to be interesting, right? So my view on it is, they're very upset when you call it Bcash. And
I still don't understand that. It's not really like, I try not to be a rude person, so I'll call it Bitcoin Cash or whatever, but I still don't really get why that's so insulting. Like,
well, neither. I mean, I'm sure John understands exactly why it's insulting, but he had no problem calling it that. That's what he calls it. That's also what I call it. No, but John made very good points. I mean, you should listen to that interview, and John didn't even go far enough with those points. In that, John was pointing out like the Gavin Andresen situation. John didn't even point out how Gavin Andresen lost all of his credibility when he started proclaiming fake Satoshi as Satoshi.
Yeah, that's the major thing for me, is that his support of Craig S. Wright puts a major dent in his credibility, at least from my perspective.
And that's actually when he lost those privileges to, edit the code. So Bitcoin Analog didn't even mention that part. I was hoping he would. In addition, when he was explaining that the block size limit was put in by Satoshi before Core was even there, and even though Satoshi may have said this is temporary, what I pointed this out in my debate with Roger like almost a year ago is that, the problem happened was the realization came, it was temporary. The thought was temporary, but the realization that, holy shit, this isn't really temporary because it's impossible to actually put it back. Like you can't put Humpty Dumpty back together, I think was the phrase that I used. So even if Satoshi did put in the block size limit, expecting it to be temporary, what was done is done. And there was absolutely no way to make it temporary once the protocol started being used. And there were also other things but Roger doesn't really let you speak. He always interrupts John trying to explain the point to him and changes the subject, which makes it very, very difficult because you need a lot of time to explain this concept to Roger. And when he interrupts and changes the topic midway, it makes you look like a schizophrenic trying to debunk 8 things at the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know when I'll get to watch this video because I've just got way too many things to do. But
download it, listen to it on the plane.
Yeah. So maybe I'll do that. I actually have a lot of work to do on the plane at the same time. But I swear, I just need like an extra day in the week or something so I can just catch up on sleep. Anyway,
it was hilarious though when at the end when John says, "Those of you that made a bet that Roger would rage quit," that was great. That cracked me up.
Yeah. There are people in my chat at least that are asking, "Hey, like, why don't you get him on the show, on your show, Jimmy?" I'm not sure if I'm not like you need something to talk about. I would love to have Roger on my show, obviously, just to talk to him. I haven't really talked to him in person before. But yeah, I don't know. I think we would need like a solid topic, and because like this whole space and all the things that you can debate are really big, I'd want to like just restrict it to something small. But Roger, if you're watching this and want to come on my show, invitations out there. All right.
But the only way to do it, right? Like, here's my suggestion. I mean, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't come on if I'm there. But here's my suggestion. My suggestion is you come up with a list of topics and have someone in the middle muting people to let the other person fully explain it. That honestly, that's my only recommendation to you.
Like college, high school style debate, right? Like you get X minutes and you get X minutes. You're not allowed to interrupt, that sort of thing.
I mean, I wouldn't limit it to X minutes. Just like have a moderator that makes sure the other person finishes explaining without flipping topics, and have the list of topics ahead of time. Talk about Gavin Andresen, talk about censorship, talk about them in order, right? Talk about the block limitations. Like, have a list of topics preset. Let the people speak, and have a moderator that's just like mutes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be sort of a debate type interview. I think mostly I would probably be asking him questions and saying, okay, what's your view about this? What do you say about people that say this, that sort of thing?
Basically, what I recommend is like after Roger gives his view on something, and you go, well, Roger, that's incorrect, and you start explaining it to him. Someone needs to like mute him until you're done explaining it to him. Like that's the only thing I would recommend, but it shouldn't be a debate.
Well, I don't know how much of that I'll be doing, but I'll definitely fact check anything that he says. All right. Anyway, here's a tweet by Eric Voorhees that I think is kind of prescient here, and I want to point it out because I think it's very important. Prediction: the biggest finance company in 10 years will be a tech company, not a bank. Bitcoin. You agree with that?
No, less than 10. They'll be way less than 10 years. I mean, look, the biggest content provider is now an internet company, Netflix, right? Mm-hmm. The biggest retailer is now an internet company, Amazon. Mm-hmm. The biggest, the Google is going to be self-driving Tesla's cars.
Well, Uber's the biggest transportation company, probably.
Right, and they're pretty much a tech company too, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I do not expect this to be 10 years.
Okay, so it'll be even shorter.
Right. He could have significantly lowered that number.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Google has a banking license. I think Apple already has a banking license. I think Facebook is working. I mean, our current tech companies are already starting to turn into banking companies. I mean, the amount of money that PayPal is holding is bigger than any bank already. Today.
Wow, I did not know
that. Because so many people use PayPal, and the money is just sitting there, controlled by Paypal.
So maybe it's already true because they're kind of a tech company. Yeah, I don't know. That's
so I don't. It's not going to take that long.
Okay. Well, good to see us agree on that. All right. So here is something fun for all of you. This is. Actually, I am covering up myself, so let me go put my thing over there. This is from GBT T21 Wen on Twitter. This is sort of all the Avengers. Tone is right here next to Andreas.
Right. Well, when I first saw that, I'm like, wait a minute, am I the Hulk? I'm like, no, that's Andreas.
Yeah, what character is that? I'm not completely familiar with the Marvel universe.
That's funny because I was just about to ask you.
Oh yeah, because I know I'm Nick Fury over here.
Yeah, I know that one. You know what sucks? I mean, they really should have had somebody's picture on everyone, and they should have had more bad guys. And they should have had pictures on them. I mean, this could have been done. Like I always pick and complain about stuff. I mean, I liked it. I retweeted it. It's not going to retweet from me. But I wish there was a picture on everyone. Whale Panda was the funniest one.
That's awesome. The raccoon from what is it?
Guardians.
The Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, there a lot of these guys have masks, right? Like Spider-Man.
Yeah, but so what, right? You put a face over it because you know who that character is, right?
Yeah, here's the bad guy in the back here.
Again,
there's nobody there. Yeah.
Right, you could have put somebody. You could have put Craig Wright there or something. There's other bad guys, right? You could have put fake Satoshi there.
Anyway, good stuff. We always enjoy having a laugh at these art things that people make, and thank you to GBT, I guess, T21 Wen. Anyway, you want to take a look at price?
Yeah, let's do price. Let me do screen share. All right, so not much changed since last night. I hope that it should be good on the video. So again, we have a weekly 9 with one of my red arrows. Today's Monday. The week ends on Sunday. So let's see. Let's see if it's one of these candles here and we go higher. Now, like I said last night, I did not expect 10,000 to be broken. I think 10,000 is somewhat significant resistance. But the more time we spend around 10,000, the more the pressure we create to bust through it in a very violent way, swinging up for quite a bit. So let's see where this goes. I mean, the day's still okay. We sold off a little bit last night. So according to the daily, we should still have, 6 more days of upside. I'll already be in Colombia by then. Here's the 4-hour chart. The 4-hour chart is still good. We are bullish. And in about 12 hours, let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get another one of these 4-hour nines. But the last 4-hour nine didn't do anything, right? So when that happens, based on my trading, indicators, because everything else is useless right now when you're dealing with all-time highs. So all I have is this time indicator. So the time to jump back into the market, if you did, take some profit on a 4-hour nine, was the moment this candle with a number 3 on it started trading above this candle with a number 2 on it, and that was at 1900 hours on 11/26 New York time. All right, so that was the time to basically jump back in. So let's see if we get another one of these nines, maybe lead to a slightly more impressive pullback. Yeah, they have the 4-hour hasn't been. It's just look nonstop up. It's just scary. And here is the 1-hour chart. Now the 1-hour chart didn't make it to a 9 this time. We had this big drop last night.
Right after a 13, yeah.
Right after it hit a 13 that exhausted, I believe, probably this 9 here. And now we're working on another 13 from this 9 here. So let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get a 9 and a 13 on the same hour, probably around 98, 9900 maybe. If we spike up and it gives you this like quick sell the top entry, then we could have a more sustained correction. But I think 10,000 is going to be tough to cross. But the longer we spend above 9,500, the bigger the breakout is going to be. So just keep that in mind. And that's about it. The mempool. The mempool just filled up. Oh, speaking of mempool, hey, Jimmy, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So someone just texted me the other day. So they sent a transaction like 5 days ago. And they paid a 5 Satoshis per byte fee. And that transaction is just, still stuck in the mempool. What happens?
Well, if you have RBF turned on, replaced by fee, then you could just replace that transaction with a higher fee. If not, it takes about 3 or 4 days, and then it just sort of gets emptied out of the mempool because it's a stale transaction.
What if it's been about 4 or 5 days?
Then it's gonna start. So your wallet usually says, okay, this is still unconfirmed for about 3 or 4 days, and then it just sort of takes it off. So that you just sort of have to wait for mempools to clear of those. There's a lot of transactions in the 0 to 5 Satoshi per byte range. Some people are calling that spam or whatever, but basically those are cheap transactions, people trying to get in. So I don't know. It's
right. So no, because it's a good question, right? Like I always knew that 0 fee transactions get kicked out, but low fee transactions do as well, right?
Yeah. There were transactions that had like 50 Satoshi per byte, like that were getting kicked out, like when we had that huge spike. So it's you just sort of have to time things a little bit. You don't have to sell. If you're not transacting very often, it shouldn't matter that much. But I've always recommended do it on nights and weekends, man. That's when you're gonna get the best fees, or you're gonna be able to get in things pretty cheap. I've been successful with like 10 to 15 range Satoshis per byte.
Yeah, I'm pretty cheap, but I've been trying to keep my transaction fees above. I'm still thinking in US dollar terms. I've been trying to keep my transactions like above $1 and above like 25 Satoshis per byte, right? So if 25 Satoshis per byte is only like 10 cents, then I will up it to like 100 or 150, right? Like I go as low as I could, but I want to make sure that it's over $1. And if it's under $1 for a transaction fee, then I want to make sure that it's at least 50 Satoshis per byte. Is that a decent metric?
Well, fee algorithms are really, really difficult, and
I usually make my own. I usually make my own because most wallets allow you to type in your own satoshis per byte.
Yep.
So usually, like when I have it set to the medium one, if I see that it's a little too high in dollars, I flip it to the low one. And if I this is the process of sending a transaction, and if the low one is a little too low, I just go and double check that it's at least 50 satoshis per byte to make it that low. So I just manually type in, let me compare it to 50 satoshis per byte to what the low estimate is, and then I pick the the higher of the two.
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer because it really depends on like fee market conditions and all this other stuff with how much hash power is on the network and how much has gone over to Bitcoin Cash or whatever. So it's very tricky. I would be pretty wary in just sort of sticking with a particular satoshi per byte or like dollar amount because it really depends. This is why the Alex Morkos had put in a pull request into Bitcoin Core Wallet to estimate transaction fees, and it utilizes a lot of variables to do that. I think that one's pretty good. It's still evolving. Yeah,
and another reason why I like TradeBlock is because it gives you some kind of an estimate of the current transactions in the mempool.
Yeah, so that's probably the average of the fees.
Right.
And that's actually kind of a terrible one to utilize because you want to be the lowest fees per like satoshi per byte in the block, and average actually like will skew it upwards. You might want to go with mode or something else. There's a lot of different metrics that you might be utilizing, and it ends up being a much harder question to answer than you would think. Just the math behind the market-based thing is not easy.
All right, that's good to know information, man. So it's why I like asking you questions.
All right, man. Any final words before we sign off?
No, that's it. Just stop sharing screen. Let's get the cameras rolling again. But no, hey, another good morning show. Keeping it to try to keep this under 30 minutes. And we'll see. Jimmy's in New York tomorrow. I'm in the city all day tomorrow. So maybe we'll bring you something live from somewhere.
Yeah, we will see. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. This song